on, after we finish learning about what kind of effect inflation will create, like a money illusion, wealth effect, income cap effect at micro level. So as we look at those effects, you can think about, I think all those are mainly discussing how we feel, right? Now, we want to stand the point like, hey, we are the leader of the country, of the economy. And we want to look at the overall effect of the inflation versus focusing on the micro level. So here we're going to emphasizing three main effects. Okay, so what are the three main effects at a macro level? So the first is about uncertainty. So you can imagine, as we're talking about inflation, right? And we haven't talked about our target yet. So if we know the price will change annually, but we don't know which direction. Sometimes they go up by 2%, sometimes they go up by 3%, sometimes they might go up by 12%. So that making the future unpredictable, right? So therefore, the inflation, knowing the inflation exists, it definitely creates a lot of uncertainty in the globe. And especially everybody went through the period of the COVID, and we had very high inflation during COVID because the supply shortage. And you know that at that time, people don't know if tomorrow the toilet paper is going to become more expensive or not. They reacting those uncertainty by stocking up more toilet paper, and then that toilet paper used to be maybe $1 a roll to $100 a roll. So that's crazy, right? So those are creating by inflation, because inflation introducing the uncertainty to our macro economy. Okay, so that is one macro consequence, uncertainty. And then the second macro uncertainty is called the speculation. So you can imagine, we do as economists, we hope most of the part we are able to predict the economy so that we can guiding our business to making better decision. However, as we know, we cannot really predict inflation. We usually reacting on inflation. So our federal government try their best using the policy to control the inflation so that make it as much as we can, as predictable as we can. But as I see here is like, since this inflation is unpredictable, again, we try our best to make it controlled so that we can predict it. But it, in fact, is unpredictable. So therefore, it introducing the gambling behavior. Here we call the speculation. Okay. So basically, the decision will shift from the standard economic activity to bidding on the future price of the goods. Thinking about why we have such a huge restriction on gambling, because gambling is not really rational. Like I said, gambling is not rational, and so instead of helping us to managing a predictable market, speculation will making the unpredictability even worse. Okay, you can think about this domino effect, right? Inflation already introducing uncertainty. Due to uncertainty, it will trigger speculation from the buyer and the seller. It will further push the uncertainty effect even bigger, right? So that is really bad. Okay, so this is the second macro consequence. And the third macro consequence is related to the taxpayer bracket. And we call it a bracket creep. Okay. So we already studied about our income tax. So basically, the Congress, we're going to talk about further. So that we had this tax bill telling us, hey, if your income fall into this bracket, let's say $0 to $80,000, and this is the tax rate you are facing. And then if you're above 80,000 to, let's say, 120,000, that is another tax bracket. So it is called tax bill because the Congress has a vote on it. Congress has to propose changes. So that means there's some kind of delay, right? So basically this year they passed the tax bill. We are able to see that bracket. So if you belong to this salary income range, you pay this tax. Belong to that, so your salary above that bracket, that income range, you pay another tax rate. So what happened is, but there is some kind of delay, right? So they are not immediately reflecting the inflation in that year, that moment, that month. So therefore, as we notice that if we do have this kind of constant inflation, and then so you will see your nominal income going up, as we're talking about money illusion, right? Maybe your real income is not going up, but since we already set that tax bracket, so you end up contributing more your income to the tax, but your real income actually won't change, right? Like I said, the tax bracket is kind of a delay. They don't really reflect in the on-time inflation. but your salary might be going higher and higher because your employer will kind of reflecting inflation a little bit. So for instance, like your faculty, your professor at a university, we do have annual raise of our income. Most of the time, it's just really try to adjusting the inflation. But it doesn't really mean we make more and more real income. It is just try to adjusting inflation. But if the bracket we already designed in our tax system is not really truly reflect that inflation, you will notice that people start to pay more and more tax, but the real money they make is not changed. So that's not good, right? So that is what we call the third macro consequence. It's negative, right? Called the bracket creep. So that is the three main macro consequence. Okay, like I said, I will calling out one of special phenomena related to inflation. That is called hyperinflation. So later we're gonna look at the goal of the inflation. You will know we do want to every economy have certain amount of inflation, and then but we don't want it so high that it become a problem. So when we consider the inflation as hyperinflation, our economy is facing huge problem. First, let's define what is hyperinflation. So hyperinflation means the inflation rate is in exceed of 200%, lasting at least 1 year. So it's not about, hey, during COVID, our price skyrocketing, right? It has to be 200% higher on that basket of goods. Second, it has to be last at least a year. Okay, so if it's less than a year, if it's less than 200%, we don't consider as hyperinflation. So hyperinflation is never exist. So actually in the current world, globally, we do have countries experiencing hyperinflation. Zimbabwe, as you can see on this picture, is the Zimbabwe currencies. I don't even know, it's like $100 trillion, but that only worth maybe $1. Okay, so when the economy facing hyperinflation, and it become a huge issue because the spending accelerated, but the production will decline, right? So that is a huge issue. And U.S. economists, U.S. government will definitely prevent us to go into this territory hyperinflation. So again, this is just one of the special scenario on the call out. It is when inflation gets so high out of control, and then economy can go into the hyperinflation. Okay, so to summarize, what are the three macro consequences of the inflation? It is uncertainty, speculation, and bracket creep. Okay, so let's answer the second question. Since inflation kind of brings some trouble to the economy, are we looking for deflation? First, let's define what is deflation. Deflation is a general decrease in average price. Again, inflation is a general increase in average price. So when we are facing deflation, everything become cheaper. Now you are sitting there listening to this lecture and say, hey, that's really great. I want to see things getting cheaper, which is really good for my daily expense. Yes, don't forget, as you are a consumer, you are also people earning the salary, rely on the business side, give you a salary. When the economy facing the deflation, it actually hurting our economy more than benefiting the economy. Although, like I said, as a consumer, you say, yay, but don't forget your money is coming from the business, right? Your income, you earn your income because business are making money. When we have a deflation, it is considered our economy are facing a very sad moment. We actually don't want to have price deflation. So it will have some macro consequences for the deflation. The seller are reluctant to stock inventory because you can imagine if they buy in today's price, tomorrow it will become more cheaper. Why bother buying it, right? So therefore, they were reluctant to stock inventory. And also, for the buyer, they were reluctant to buy because, you know what, tomorrow the price is going to be cheaper if I buy today. Yay, you lose it, right? So they don't want to buy. And also, the business are reluctant to borrow fund or invest because, again, the cost for you to buy today will be more expensive than tomorrow. You better just wait. So when I'm describing the scenario called deflation, is the whole economy is so low. No motivation, nothing. Nobody want to take action. So therefore, when you ask any economist, is inflation better than deflation? No. Is deflation a good thing for the economy? No. So we actually don't want any of the economy going to deflation. It is a negative sign for the economy. So in another word, we do want our economy have some level of inflation. And also I forgot, also the income will fall and asset value decrease. So like I said, the whole economy is so low. And so as a politician, as economists, nobody likes deflation. We do want to have a little bit of inflation. So the inflation kind of will trigger your humans excitement genes in your brain, make you excited, make you happy every day. But deflation just make you very depressing. So therefore, later we're going to look at how we measure the inflation, etc. And down the road, we're going to looking at hey, what is the target for our government? One thing you know for sure is we are not looking for negative territory. We want to have some kind of inflation, but how much is it good enough? We already know what is considered too high, right? 200%, that is considered hyperinflation. We don't want it at all. And also, we don't want deflation. So we want the right amount of inflation. Again, in the next few lectures, you will be able to learn first how to calculate or how to create an index to measure inflation. And then we're going to move on to the target from our government. What is the right amount of inflation? Okay, to summarize this video, so you already learned the macro consequence for the inflation, and then you also learned the deflation is bad, so we don't want the deflation. Okay, you also learn a new term called the hyperinflation, and you should know the threshold in order to identify the inflation is hyperinflation, right? At least 1 year and a 200% price increase. Okay, so that's the end of this video. Good luck with your learning.